Hey guys! In the last 2 months, we had many discussions about ADC's power and how they are affecting our beloved game in general. I'm sure you heard from a lot of pros and high elo players that ADCs are OP right now. Different people named different reasons, but conclusion was the same. Sure, if many competitive players are saying this, it means that they are right. Well, popular opinions more often wrong than correct, but let's not be biased here. In this video I will show you the power of mid lane and top lane ADCs according to stats, which is the most objective source of information, unlike people's opinions that are made with their subjective experience. Without too many words, enjoy watching! Alright, let's talk about 2 of the most popular ADCs in mid lane, because ADC meta started from these champions, Corki and Tristana. Corki in 14-12 already had one of the lowest win rates in the game. We could explain it with wrong max order, which made him a bit better in higher ranks, where players are trying to optimize their champions. But as you can see, even in GM Plus he had lower than average win rate. So he wasn't good in both low elo and high elo brackets already, but got a nerf due to pro play presence. Coming back to the present, we can see that Corki in the last 14 days is a bit better, because everyone is maxing right ability, but his win rate is still very low for both low elo and high elo ranks. Okay, but pro play is a different game with completely different rules and meta, right? Well, to some extent, yes, but not even close to how people are describing it. Champions can be much better in pro play than in solo queue in 2 cases. They either has a very high skill expression and hard learning curve, like Sante or Camille, or their abilities are reliant on high level of team play and coordination, like Ryze with his ultimate. Corki has neither of that. His learning curve is very easy after his rework, his skill expression is also much lower, and he doesn't have any coordination abilities, just raw damage. So, as you can see, he is weak everywhere, but constantly appearing in pro and high elo games. Why does it happen? Well, there are a couple of reasons for it. First is obviously comfort pick. Almost any mid laner in pro knows how to play Corki. Of course, when Riot reworked him, they decided to pick him again. But what new cool thing did they found about him? The answer is early game, and this is the second reason. Before rework, Corki had pretty bad laning phase and couldn't contest the wave very well, especially before level 6. Now, after rework, you can actually play the game since level 1 and do it insanely good. On the contrast, it looked like a big improvement, but stats are saying that Corki is still very bad. Why? Well, because it wasn't a buff. Riot shifted his power from mid-late game to early mid-game. You can see it with win rate versus game length graph on LoLalytics. Corki's strongest points are first 15 minutes and 20-25 minutes in the game. Basically, laning phase and 2 items per spike, after what he is falling off quite hard. So yeah, he doesn't scale very well as people talk about it. Early game champions will feel much more stronger due to the lane dominance and that you are playing early stage every game. Perception of the power doesn't mean the real power, but I will cover this topic a bit later in this video. Okay, I think we are done with Corki and I was able to convince you why he is not good according to stats. If not, you can always write in comment, I will answer you. Let's talk about Tristana now. Insanely broken ADC in 14-12 patch that was appearing in almost every pro play game. She must be very OP, right? Well, let's check stats to see if it's true. Tristana in 14-12 had a bit more win rate than average champion in both high elo and low elo brackets. She wasn't OP according to win rate, but at least decent in most games. Most of her matchups in pro play had weak Corki or other weak mages. Of course, decent champion will look OP versus weak champions. This is what basically happened with Tristana and inflated her pick rate. Riot decided to get rid of her completely and nerfed one of the best spells in her kit, which led to the funny minus 4% win rate. From a decent, a bit better than average champion, she became one of the worst ones. As you can see, her win rate in 14-14 was lower than average in high elo and low elo ranks. Still, in 14-14 you could see Tristana mid lane sometimes, but another problem has arisen. I will call it the corruption of mid lane. In 14-14 patch, players started to pick more and more ADC champions in mid lane. Zeri, Ezreal, Draven, Lucian, Varus and even Smolder was practiced by some players. It was a popularity boom. Thousands and thousands of comments about an ADC meta. a lot of videos about this topic. Streamers and high elo players are also annoyed about mid lane ADC picks. So, let's check it quickly if at least one of these champions was really good. Starts from Zeri in 14-14, we can see 49.5% win rate, which is below average by 2%. Well, maybe she will look better in higher elos. In Master Plus, she had 50.61% win rate, versus 53.03% win rate on average. Yes, even Zeri mid lane is weak in both high elo and low elo games. Let's speed up. Ezreal mid lane had 48.76% win rate in Emerald Plus this patch. In Master Plus this number was 50.19%. Draven 48.63% win rate in lower elos and 49.5% in higher elos. Lucian 48.32% in Emerald Plus and 49.79% in Master Plus. Varus, who is weak everywhere, has 46.16% win rate in mid lane. In higher elos, it's 48.51% win rate. The last one, Smolder, has 48.82% win rate in Emerald Plus and 48.35% win rate in Master Plus. As you can see, every mid lane ADC was weak in this patch, no matter what elo it was. Again, stats is the most objective source of information, because you can get enough sample size to make a conclusion about each champion's power. Sure, you can have more win rate with certain champions, but it shows that you are performing good on this champion, not that this champion is a good one. So, why did they got so much popularity even if they are weak? I talked about it a bit in Corki's example, but I will explain it further. Even a small match can burn down an entire forest, and that's how meta spreads in the league. Starting from a small match, pro players, the flames are starting to spread to high elo players, streamers, and then to lower elo players. But what was the initial reason? Why this match was lit? Mostly because of 14-10 patch. Not only ADCs got new cool items that everyone wanna test and help you to spike insanely well at first 2 items, AP junglers also got a bunch of cool items, which made them a lot stronger. I think you saw a lot of triple AD with AP junglers compositions in pro play. AP junglers are strong, so we will create for them good conditions with perma pushing lanes and uneven damage distribution, so they can farm and have a lot more damage. And they were right to some extent. AP junglers were really good, at least compared to their previous jungle picks. But what about ADCs? And here is the third reason: perception of the power. As I said earlier, perception of the power doesn't mean the real power. We are humans, we have feelings and emotions. Our perception is always subjective, no matter what we will do. If some mid laner will pick ADC versus you and will have perma pry in lane, of course you will feel like this champion is strong, even if it's not true. You will be biased to some extent. Most ADCs will get pry in early game. This is right, but they will lose later on, due to bad draft and not great scalings. Yeah, most ADCs in mid lane doesn't scale that well, you can check it yourself if you want to. They will dominate you in first 15 minutes, but does it matter? They won't be strong enough to carry the game alone in mid game and the late game. Just understand that they need right composition, people around them, and at least decent scaling to not be useless in mid-late game. Change your perception with objective stats, so you will be able to look at the league and the world in general much more objective, without emotions and feelings. That's why we need stats. They are very important for us. Anyway, the popularity of ADCs in mid lane led us to 14-15 nerfs. Kraken, Static, Fleet, Absorb Life, Dominic, Mortal Reminder. Sure, some of these items and runes were really OP, like Static or Fleet, but other things just didn't deserve it. Riot had to nerf all of it, just to get rid of mid lane ADCs in pro play, so then no one will play them in lower elos too. So, weak champions in mid lane got even weaker, but it couldn't stop this train. ADC meta is still there, with Lucian, Tristana, Botark builds and weak Corki. So, in 14-16, Botark, Lucian and Corki will be touched. Yeah, it sounds unfair if we talk from a perspective of average player. Weak champions and fine items are getting nerfed, but Riot have to balance the game around perception of the power among players. We cannot really blame Riot or every player for this. They are trying their best. I'm disappointed in pro players. Players who should know almost everything about the game, who wanna win and play the most optimal compositions, champions and builds are playing weak champions, because some top teams are also playing it. And these top teams are playing it because it sounds good and worked good in scrims. They are judging champions' power according to experience, which is not correct, but I doubt it will be changed. Let me be clear, I'm trying to not be biased in any way, and I'm not saying that all pro players are bad. They are insanely great players, and I'm sure they are trying very hard to achieve their goals. But they got used to experience over stats mindset, and we should do something about it. If it would be really an ADC meta, I wouldn't create such video, no. But when I'm seeing how many content creators and popular people in general say information without thinking, don't feel responsible for their words and infect your perception of the power about certain things, I can't keep quiet. If you want to fix league and meta, if you want games to look much more enjoyable, start from yourself. I'm not telling you to play the high win rate champions, just check items and runes win rate for your champion. Use 5-10 minutes of your time, think about best items according to stats and build much more optimally. The more we will use stats and play optimal builds, the more you will see better builds and champions in higher elo games. My conclusion according to stats is that ADCs were never good in mid lane or top lane. The only decent ADC champions were Tristana mid, who got nerfed, or Vayne top. Decent, not OP. Other champions were weak initially and now look even weaker. Sure, you can deny stats and believe in people experience, no one will judge you. But I hope you understand why statistics are very important for us, as players and humans. You can be mad at me, sure. Don't believe me and check the statistics yourself. I would love to hear your feedback about this topic, so you can write in comments. I will answer you. Like and subscribe if you learned something new. Thank you and goodbye.